This week on Arizona Illustrated, meet some modern-day trailblazers.
My favorite things are like my crew that I get to work with every day and just being out in a very nice place, just doing really nice work.
New technology gives us a fresh look at the past.
And that ability to kind of be in this kind of immersive environment, I think there's still so much more. We're just tapping the surface of what can be done.
A Sierra Vista program is cleaning the desert and building skills.
They come to us compromised. They have situations in their life that they've either paid their duties to society for, and they want to become better people.
The benefits of the beautiful Arizona rosewood.
Arizona rosewood is a really great shrub. It's evergreen and it's non-toxic.
And the abstract and colorful weavings of Claire Campbell Park.
I couldn't do what I do now if I hadn't taught literally thousands of students to see color.
Hello, and welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Trails like the one I'm on here at Saguaro National Park East that we all enjoy don't just happen naturally. In this next story, you'll meet the group whose job it is to build and maintain these trails, and you'll see it can be a lot more complicated, physically demanding, and rewarding than you might think.
We're at the Saguaro National Park Trail Crew shop. This is where we keep all of our tools, things that we need for the day, everything we need to do the job. It's sort of our home base. It's 7:13 right now. We work 7 to 5:30, 4 days a week. It's nice to have the long 10-hour days. Sometimes you have a long hike out to get to your project site, and then we get 3-day weekends. Today we're going to the cactus forests on the east side of Saguaro National Park.
The main challenge of this project right here is carrying material to our work site. So we have our Canicoms, our motorized wheelbarrows. We work on a lot of backcountry projects, which are further up in the mountains, and those could be like 10 miles, 20 miles, from a paved road. So usually in those cases, we source our materials on the spot, and we would do that even here, but there's a lot of archaeology in this part of the park. It's a very sensitive area, so we are using materials that are not sensitive.
This trail is very trenched. Because it's formed a trench, it's also become a drainage. So every time it rains, every year as it gets more and more traffic, it erodes and trenches deeper and deeper. We're putting in log checks in this area to try to keep the soil from eroding away. In this section, we're placing a check every 15 feet. Sort of done the math to figure out that that's going to give us our best rise over run to retain the most soil without creating giant steps for people to go over. This is where the next one's going to go. I'm going to dig out a little bed for it and then lay our log in. After the logs go in, we'll fill in front and behind with crushed rock, but small little pieces of rock, really secure the log where it is, and then over that we'll lay fill dirt to really make a nice smooth ramp.
My favorite things are like my crew that I get to work with every day and just being out in a very nice place, just doing really nice work. There's definitely some days where it's just like, why are we doing this? Where it could be like really crappy weather and everybody's just in a really poor mood.
The main reason I've been doing this for so long, I think, is the social aspect. To get really close with your crew really fast. You're camping together, you're living together, you're seeing each other at your best and your worst. It's unavoidable. and you can't just peace out at the end of the day. And, if you got coworkers you don't like. I think that's tested me the most, and also where I've seen the most growth in myself.
I had never really hiked or camped, and accepted a job to be put up on a mountain for 6 months, and it literally changed my life. I didn't want to do anything else other than be outside and work really hard, get really dirty, and live with a group of strangers that end up becoming your family.
They say the past is always with us. That's especially true with the Arizona State Museum's new augmented reality app. It's called Discovering Community in the Borderlands, and what you do is you scan a QR code and you can enjoy virtual exhibits all around town. Now, if you're like me, it sounds kind of crazy, but watch this story and see what you think.
Digital storytelling and using a variety of these technologies are part of our wheelhouse. Here at the center, we use augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. We do digital scanning, as well as projects that deal with this sort of digital storytelling or digital narrative. We have about 26 students, and they work on real-world projects that incorporate digital technologies into various humanistic endeavors that could use maybe a little digital enhancement.
The power of augmented reality is that it does conjure, a person or a building out of thin air and can place it, right where it used to be.
We're working with Dr. Lisa Falk over in the Arizona State Museum, and in collaboration with a number of cultural centers here. Our unit was designed to really put together all the technology related to that particular project.
My name is Mark David Binate. I'm the producing artistic director at Borderlands Theater.
And 6 feet above and said, let's jump, let's dance.
Borderlands Theater is a theater company. It was started in 1986, but has been really doing a lot of very social justice themed kind of plays. And so I think we try to bring that history and that heritage to life through oral histories and then reenacting those oral histories with actors in period costumes. And that ability to kind of be in this kind of immersive environment, I think there's still so much more. We're just tapping the surface of what can be done.
Welcome to the Mission Garden, where we represent the food and agriculture experiences of all the peoples who have contributed to Tucson's history.
The history and the heritage that we try to highlight in this project is something that either people kind of know because they grew up around it, but I think when something's around you all the time, I think you kind of take it for granted. When you go back and you kind of, in a way, learn the origin story of either yourself or the community you're in, it changes your whole perspective.
In addition to the multi-ethnic makeup of our developers, part of what we do here at the center is also to work with underserved communities, to empower them with various technologies and to reach audiences in ways that they never could before.
Now as I walk through this area, there's something about seeing an old picture and seeing the people in it and being like, oh, they look just like me, or they look just like my family members, and there they are running a barber shop. I think it's really important to preserve these stories, these histories, and then for those that don't know, that didn't grow up in these neighborhoods, for just their educational benefit to know the full story of how Tucson came to be. It ties you to the land in some ways. It makes you feel like, if they did it, I can do it.
These digital platforms really allow for engaged interaction with these kinds of social issues, but also to do it digitally attracts a different generation that may not necessarily sit down and read a textbook or a magazine.
These projects plant seeds. It leads to more people appreciating history and more opportunities for folks to come out and exchange that history and those stories. I think we hope that by people sort of discovering this, especially if that's part of your own heritage, that knowing that origin story, it changes the way you walk through the world.
Now we take you to Sierra Vista to check out an innovative program that's providing jobs and a real paycheck for those experiencing homelessness. And it's cleaning up the desert at the same time. In this installment of our series, Where to Live, we explore the Better Work program, which is funded through a grant from the Arizona Department of Housing and is showing real promise in helping those who need it.
I had gone through a difficult divorce, and I lived by myself and didn't really have any sort of emotional or social support. So things were really difficult, and I couldn't find a job. So my landlord evicted me, and I was able to get here like the same day. So I was very blessed for that.
In January of 2023, we started with the Better Work program. The Better Work program, there's two requirements. A, you have to be classified as homeless by Arizona Department of Housing standards. Two, they have to be registered in what we call HMIS, which stands for the Homeless Management Information System. So participants sign up. Generally, it's through Good Neighbor Alliance. They fill out an application, and then they're eligible to work the program. Then we pick them up at Good Neighbor Alliance and take them to the work site. Basically, it's been cleaning up the desert areas in Sierra Vista that are state trust land or city-owned properties. We took out 42,000 pounds of garbage last year, which is amazing.
The Better Works program really helped get me into a headspace where I was prepared to work, because I was already used to, having to get up for Better Works and feeling good about participating, all that kind of stuff. So it really helped kind of like prime the pump, if you will, for me actually getting a job.
We actually pay $15 an hour, cash on the day that the job is done. We also provide a lunch afterwards. They can only make up to $600 in a year. Not a whole lot of money, but it does help these folks pay bills, basically.
I was homeless for almost 6 years. Ended up being an addict. Bad road. Got busted with drugs. Ended up doing a little time in jail, which opened my eyes completely. And when I got out of jail, I completely lost everything. I have no family or friends out here. Had no place to go. Ended up on probation.
They come to us compromised. They have situations in their life that they've either paid their duties to society for, and they want to become better people. So through the Better Work program, we can observe how they work, how they get along with people, their work ethic. And once we can kind of eyeball how they're doing, I do work with them to get a resume. We work with different organizations and partners like Arizona at Work, where they will go in, fill out their resume information, and walk out of there with 5 copies of a resume, ready for a job fair if they wanted. And then we can take that and help them, advocate for them to get a job.
It helped show my skills and what I can do and how I work, and the word of mouth just got out there, and they reached out to a bigger company that needed a hand, and they gave me a shot, and I ended up working out pretty good.
We have now a slate of about 8 different employers that are willing to consider hiring these people depending on the circumstances. And we have placed a total of 5 people from homelessness into full-time employment. It's a real good feeling to help these people help themselves.
It was a rough road, but I completely turned my life around. I'm over 2 years sober now, over 7 years sober off of alcohol. So just moving on up from here. Now I got my own apartment. I got 2 vehicles now.
My son's 40. We both were homeless. It's been a struggle living with other people, and then now we live in a motel. I went through this employment agencies and stuff and put in a lot of job applications and nobody called me back. Eva, she helped me out a lot. One day she called me and said, well, there's this guy that's interested in you from Southwest Desert Images. He's gonna call you, and she got the job for me pretty much. Now that I have a job, it's easier to pay that weekly motel.
6 months ago, I had the opportunity to come out with the Better Work and work alongside these awesome individuals. Getting to talk with them, getting to know them, eat with them, just to see where they come from and see how we can help them through the Better Work program, as well as help them, their everyday life.
Better Bucks is a parent nonprofit organization. Basically, it provides information and a booklet that is handed out to anybody in need. And inside the booklet, on the front and back cover, there's a list of service providers, local service providers that people can go to. There's also 5 $1 vouchers that people can use at local merchants to purchase food, clothing, toiletries, pet food, stuff like that. The great thing is they can't buy alcohol, tobacco, or anything that can be used in conjunction with illegal drugs.
The handout is with Better Bucks. We give them Better Bucks and they do what they want with that. But the hand up is Better Work, and to help them help themselves, and they really want to get out of the situation that they got into. I believe in second chances, and I believe that Better Work and the Better Bucks board does exactly that. We all team up together, we all have our strengths, and we all work to try to help these people become good, productive citizens in our community.
Like what you're seeing on Arizona Illustrated? Then connect with us on social media for even more Arizona Illustrated. Meet our team, go behind the scenes of Arizona Illustrated location shoots, see exclusive bonus content from our segments, and find out the stories behind the stories. Got an idea for the show? A comment or question? Let us know. Like, follow, and subscribe to Arizona Illustrated on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. Gardening in the Sonoran Desert can have many benefits, including the possibility of growing some of the thousands of native drought-resistant plants. Next, we show you a plant that can provide a nice evergreen shelter for some wildlife, or be used as a hedge in place of oleanders, which are toxic to both people and animals.
Hi, I'm Hannah Blood, and I am the nursery manager and propagation manager for Tohono Chul. Today we're looking at Arizona rosewood. This is the Vacalinia californica. It is an evergreen shrub that is found usually in open, hilly slopes. Its distribution is through Arizona into Mexico and then on the Baja California. It does bloom in the spring, late spring. You'll get large clusters of small white flowers. It's in the rose family, so they're tiny 5-petaled white flowers. When you're looking at the shrub, you will notice that sometimes there's these persistent seed capsules left from where the flower cluster was blooming in the spring. So this bush was obviously covered in a lot of white flower clusters. The leaves are leathery and thick. Sometimes they'll have a slight serration to the margin, meaning that'll be like a serrated knife, but these are really smooth leaf margins, and the underside of our native species has this really white color. Here we have a lot of leaf litter and debris, which is called detritus, from this Arizona rosewood over here. And I know a lot of people take a great pride in keeping their rocks clean, but this will not only keep moisture in the earth, but it also adds nutrients back to your plants. The Arizona rosewood typically grows about 15 feet high and 10 feet wide. So if you're looking for a really great privacy screen, the Arizona rosewood is a really great shrub. It's evergreen and it's non-toxic, so it's a great replacement for oleanders, which usually serve the same purpose as a privacy screen. It is cold hardy, and it is the host to a swallowtail butterfly as well. So they'll come and lay their eggs on here for their larvae to hatch, which will be caterpillars, and then they will become butterflies. So adding this to your yard, it's a really great plant for being durable It has a bad rap for growing slowly, but if you give it a moderate drink, you'll get more growth on it. You can always water plants and get good growth, and then you can always wean them back if you want to give them less. And with many desert plants, they're used to having less, and by watering them more in their yard, they're going to thank you.
For many more examples of desert plants that will thrive in your backyard, head to our new website, azpm.org/desertplants. Claire Campbell Park is an internationally recognized author, teacher, and lecturer. Her two-dimensional, delicate weavings give the illusion of eternal space. One thread at a time, her magical work aims to visually depict the spiritual core that unites us all.
I always try to bring a sense of gratitude and dignity and hope into the weavings, and I have to live that myself in order to bring that. It's also an act of becoming, but I don't think the work is really finished until I have the opportunity to share it with other people. I'm Claire Campbell Park. I am an artist, an author, and a lecturer, and I taught at Pima College for 35 years. I taught studio art, color theory, and basic design and weaving and textiles. I came here for the job. I didn't know anything about Tucson, and I just absolutely love the desert. It's just beautiful. The diversity of the desert, the light, the color is a big influence on my work. I've written a book, Creating with Reverence, Art, Diversity, Culture, and Soul. And it was developed in my classes in conversation and reflection with my students, which was wonderful. I loved thinking about things that are beyond just the materiality of art. And in the book, I look at the ideas of artists and craftspeople from many different cultures and ask people to reflect on their own ideas. When I was 18, my parents moved to Montana. All those years, would go back every summer and help with the cherry orchard, and totally different life. My parents' property in Montana was right on a lake, and it was just incredibly beautiful. It gave that sense of space, and I think that's really where my appreciation of space really gelled. My textile processes, for me, is a kind of active meditation. What I find most gratifying is that so many people have told me that they just want to walk into my work and stay there, breathe in the color, and heal.
Claire Campbell Park is a phenomenal person, an artist. She is one of the most gentle souls I've ever met. Her work interweaves with that notion of reverence in art and about the meditative qualities.
What I get most pleasure from is just color and technique. And Claire's piece that I have has exceptional technique and a beautiful sense of color. Like any good work of art, it feeds your soul.
At the time that she was originally creating her fibers, she was embracing it more in the spirit of the Bauhaus. So she was looking at it as a means to an end rather than about the repetition, than about what it represented in terms of the trajectory of women artists. I found that really phenomenal because her work is absolutely about the craftsmanship. It's meticulous. You cannot replicate this easily, but it's about ultimately something else. And that's what I find fascinating. It's about color.
I couldn't do what I do now if I hadn't taught literally thousands of students to see color. And we were doing these exercises where I would help them see little tiny differences in color. And at first they thought I was nuts, but then they started seeing for themselves. And it just brings a lot of joy to life. But it's not only the amount of color it's next to, it's the color itself, it's the other colors, it's all relational. And that's what makes it fascinating. Right now I'm using 2 different kinds of materials. I use the 16-2 linen for my weavings, and I'm using cut paper strips for the paper weavings. The linen frustrates me some because there are only 65 colors available, so I have to blend visually like crazy. And one of the reasons I use the colored paper is because I have hundreds of colors to work with, and it gives me a different kind of freedom in that work.
We met Claire through the Museum of Art here in Tucson. We just fell in love with this one because of the coloring, or the way they grow into each other.
Any artist in whatever medium, if they really have put it together as well as Claire has put together what she does, then they deserve big recognition. She's right up there with the best.
When I weave, I can't see what I've done after it's rolled under. So I have to keep it in my mind. I had to train my mind and my ability to work with these complex color relationships. The other issue with weaving is you can't erase easily. Unlike a painter, you can't just paint over it. I can take out a few inches. That's the other thing, you gotta get it right. And if you don't get it right, the challenge and half the fun of it is you have to figure out a new solution and work with the proportions. And sometimes it's just a single line of color will bring it back into relationship, into harmony.
Before we go, here's a sneak peek at a story we're working on.
If you think about Tucson and southern Arizona, you think about all the different people that live in our region, that it's not just one type of background or one type of culture. There are so many and they overlap one another a lot of the time as well. So we asked people from the community to author some texts.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Time to take a hike. We'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thank you for watching this entire episode of our show here on YouTube. And if you liked it, well, here's another episode that we think you'll like.